There comes a moment in every person's life when the world looks at you and whispers, "You're not enough." A moment when the circumstances seem bigger than you, when the obstacles feel immovable, when doubt creeps in and tries to convince you that failure is inevitable. But in that exact moment, you must stand tall, plant your feet, look life straight in the eye, and declare with absolute certainty, "I will not lose." Not because the road is easy, not because the world is fair, but because deep inside you, there is a fire that cannot be extinguished, a relentless drive that refuses to be broken. Losing is not an outcome, it's a choice. And when you make the decision right here, right now, that losing is not an option, everything in your life changes. Listen to me, life is not about avoiding struggle. Life is struggle, it is resistance, it is pressure, it is the weight that forges strength. Diamonds are not formed in comfort, they are born in fire, and so are you. Every challenge you faced, every setback, every scar, those weren't signs of weakness. They were proof of your resilience, proof that you are still here. And if you're still here, you're still in the fight. So I ask you, what's your standard? What's your line in the sand? Because the truth is, people don't rise to their goals, they fall to their standards. If your standard is, "I'll try," you'll crumble the moment it gets tough. But if your standard is, "I will not lose," then failure becomes fuel, pain becomes purpose, and setbacks become setups for your greatest comeback. There will be critics, there will be doubters, there will be people who look at you and say, "It's impossible." But that word, impossible, was invented by those who gave up too soon. You are not one of them. You were not put on this earth to shrink back, to bow down, or to surrender to fear. You were put here to expand, to rise, to conquer. You want to know the difference between the one who wins and the one who quits. It's not talent, it's not resources, it's not luck, it's hunger. It's the unshakable decision to keep moving forward, even when your body screams no, even when your mind is exhausted, even when everything in you wants to lay down and give up. The one who wins is the one who looks at the battlefield of life and says, "I may bend, but I will not break. I will not lose." Think about it. Every breakthrough in your life came after you refused to quit. Every victory you've ever had started as a moment of doubt that you decided to push through anyway. That's who you are. That's your identity. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a creator of outcomes, and creators don't lose. So today, draw the line. Decide once and for all that, no matter what happens, no matter how dark it gets, no matter how high the mountain, no matter how strong the storm, you will keep moving. You will keep fighting. You will keep rising. And at the end of the day, when the dust settles, the world will look at you and see undeniable proof of what happens when a human being refuses to give up. Say it with me, "I will not lose." Say it louder, "I will not lose." Say it until every cell in your body believes it, until every fear shrinks in the presence of your certainty, until your destiny bends to your will. Because when you decide that you will not lose, you've already won. Losing is not an outcome, it's a choice. Decide that it's not an option. Every single day, people convince themselves that losing is inevitable, that their circumstances define their limits, that the cards they were dealt determine the outcome of their lives. But the truth is, the outcome isn't written by the world around you. It's written by the decision you make within you. Failure only becomes permanent when you accept it as final. Until you accept defeat, you are never defeated. You may stumble, you may fall, you may even hit the ground so hard that every part of you screams to stay down. But the moment you rise again, the moment you say, "I will not lose," you've reclaimed your power. Think of the greatest achievers, the ones who changed history, the ones who built legacies. Do you believe they never encountered loss? Do you think they never tasted failure? Of course they did. They fell, they were broken, they were told countless times that it couldn't be done. But here's the difference: they refused to make losing their choice. They refused to surrender to defeat. They decided that no matter what, they would stand back up. The human spirit was not designed to quit. It was designed to evolve, to push, to grow, to adapt, and to win. And that evolution only begins when you make the choice that losing is not on your list of options. When life places a wall in front of you, you have two paths. You can stand in front of it, complain, and decide you've lost because it's too tall, too wide, too heavy. Or you can dig deep, summon your courage, and declare that you will find a way over it, under it, through it, whatever it takes. The wall itself doesn't defeat you. Your decision to stop climbing does. The opponent in front of you doesn't defeat you. The moment you decide to stop fighting does. Circumstances don't defeat you. The second you choose to let them dictate your future does. But when you declare losing is not an option, suddenly that wall becomes a challenge, not a barrier. Suddenly that opponent becomes a teacher, not a threat. Suddenly circumstances become stepping stones, not shackles. The choice to keep going transforms the entire battlefield of life. Understand this: your mind is the general, your body is the soldier. Your body will want to quit, it will scream for relief, it will beg you to let go. But your mind, your decision, your commitment, that's the commander that decides whether you march forward or whether you surrender. If your mind is weak, your body will fold. But if your mind is made of steel, your body has no choice but to follow. And that steel is forged in one declaration: I will not lose. Every repetition of that phrase hammers your will, strengthens your armor, fuels your fire. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. It's not ego, it's resolve. It's not denial of the difficulty. It's acceptance that difficulty cannot define your destiny. The problem is that most people negotiate with themselves. They give themselves an exit. They say, I'll try, but if it doesn't work, I'll walk away. That exit door is the reason they never break through. That exit door is why mediocrity has become normal. But the moment you close that door, the moment you burn the ships, the moment you declare there is no way out except forward, something awakens inside you that nothing can stop. Suddenly you fight differently, you think differently, you create solutions you never thought you would because your survival depends on it, your victory depends on it. When losing is not an option, innovation is born, resilience is awakened, and unstoppable energy flows through you. That's why warriors fight harder when there's no retreat. That's why champions push harder when the stakes are highest, because their mind is locked on one reality. There is no choice but to win. Look back at your own life. Think about the moments where you thought you were finished, when you thought the weight was too heavy, when you thought you couldn't take another step, and yet somehow you did. What drove you in that moment? It wasn't resources, it wasn't luck, it wasn't outside help. It was the decision inside you that said, I cannot stop here. That was the voice of victory whispering that losing was not an option. And every time you listened to that voice, you moved mountains. Every time you silenced doubt with determination, you discovered strength you didn't know you had. That wasn't random, that was proof. Proof that the only true defeat in life is when you surrender your will. Life will always test you. Life will always push you to the edge. It will strip away your comforts. It will take away what you thought you needed. It will place you in situations where everything seems stacked against you. But in those moments, you have a choice. You can accept the story of defeat, or you can write a new one. You can bow to the pressure, or you can rise under it. You can give in, or you can give more. The test isn't designed to break you. It's designed to reveal you. It's designed to show you who you are when everything is on the line. And if you've already decided that losing is not an option, then the test cannot crush you. It can only forge you. When you take this mindset into every area of life, everything changes. In business, setbacks become strategies. In relationships, challenges become chances to grow. In health, pain becomes proof of progress. In dreams, obstacles become opportunities to expand. The same principle applies everywhere because the root is the same. Losing is only real if you accept it. And when you refuse to accept it, when you make the conscious choice that you will not lose, you transform every arena you step into. You show up with a presence, with a conviction, with an energy that others can feel. People don't follow those who never fall. They follow those who never stay down. And that's who you are when you choose to stand again and again and again. Say it to yourself now. I will not lose. Say it again until it vibrates in your chest. Say it until it drowns out the doubts, the fears, the excuses. Say it until it becomes part of your DNA. Because once you lock into that truth, once you etch it into your soul, no defeat can touch you, no obstacle can break you, no loss can define you. The world cannot take what you refuse to surrender. Struggles and setbacks are not signs of weakness. They are the fire that forges strength. Too often people look at their difficulties and believe something is wrong with them, as if pain means they are broken, as if failure means they are unworthy, as if rejection means they are not capable. But that perspective is the very thing that keeps them small. Struggle is not punishment, it is preparation. Setbacks are not signals to stop, they are invitations to rise higher. Every single person who has ever achieved greatness has walked through storms, faced walls, endured loss, and been tested to their core. Not one of them would be who they are today without the fire of adversity shaping them into something stronger than they once believed possible. Think about it. Steel is not forged in silence and comfort. Steel is forged under pressure, under heat, under blows from the hammer that strike again and again. And each strike doesn't weaken the steel, it strengthens it, it molds it, it transforms it into something unbreakable. The same is true for you. Every challenge that knocks you down is hammering you into a stronger version of yourself. Every failure that bruises your ego is sharpening your resolve. Every setback that delays your progress is forcing you to discover a level of resilience you never knew existed. Weakness isn't exposed by struggle. Weakness is destroyed by struggle. Strength is not built in the absence of hardship. It is built through the relentless experience of it. Most people run from pain. They see discomfort as a signal to stop, as a warning that they've reached their limit. But the truth is, discomfort is the birthplace of growth. That burning in your muscles when you train isn't weakness leaving your body. It's new strength being created. That frustration when your plans fall apart isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're being redirected to something greater. That heartbreak when someone betrays you isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your transformation. Struggles are not evidence that you're broken. They're evidence that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're moving forward. The fire you walk through today will become the light you shine tomorrow. The very stories that will inspire others are being written in the chapters you're fighting through right now. When people see your victories, they won't admire the easy parts. They will be inspired by the hardships you overcame to get there. No one is moved by a tale of smooth sailing. People are moved when they see the storm you survived, when they see the mountain you climbed, when they see the pain you endured without giving up. The greatness in you is born in the very moments you wish you could escape. It is in the tears, in the late nights, in the lonely battles, in the sacrifices no one else sees. Those struggles are your training ground. Look at nature, and you'll see the truth everywhere. The seed doesn't grow into a tree without breaking through the soil. The butterfly doesn't gain its wings without struggling inside the cocoon. The eagle doesn't learn to fly without being pushed out of the nest. Growth is never gentle. Transformation is never easy. Evolution is never comfortable. Every step of progress in life requires resistance. And it's in embracing that resistance, not avoiding it, that strength is born. Your setbacks aren't signs you're going the wrong way. They are signs that you're on the exact path where growth happens. When you face setbacks, you have a choice. You can let them define you, or you can let them refine you. Most people let them define who they are. They say, I failed, so I am a failure. I lost, so I am a loser. I was rejected, so I am unworthy. But those are lies. The truth is that setbacks don't define your identity. They reveal your potential. They are chiseling away at the parts of you that no longer serve your future. They are carving out the strength, the wisdom, the clarity that you need for the next stage of your journey. When you shift your perspective and see struggles as sculptors shaping the masterpiece within you, you stop running from them and start embracing them. Consider this: every breakthrough in your life was preceded by a breakdown. Every new level of strength came after a season of testing. Every achievement worth celebrating came after a road of challenges. Why? Because without opposition, there can be no strength. Without resistance, there can be no growth. Without failure, there can be no wisdom. The struggle is not the enemy. It is the ally you didn't know you needed. The setback is not the obstacle. It is the foundation upon which your next victory will be built. The pain is not weakness. It is the doorway to a deeper level of resilience, passion, and determination. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. If you avoid struggle, you also avoid strength. If you avoid setbacks, you also avoid breakthroughs. If you run from adversity, you also run from greatness. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot ask for victory without accepting the battle. You cannot desire success without welcoming the failures that come along the way. Every strong man or woman you admire is not strong because life was easy. They are strong because life was hard, and they embraced it. They didn't curse their struggles. They thanked them because those struggles turned them into who they are. Your scars are not ugly. Your scars are proof of survival, proof that you were tested, that you bled, that you endured, and that you came through stronger. Stop hiding them. Stop being ashamed of them. Start wearing them as badges of honor, because someone out there needs to see your scars. Someone needs to know that you fell and got back up. Someone needs to know that you struggled and didn't quit. Someone needs to know that you were tested and you rose. Your struggles are not signs of weakness. They are proof of strength, proof of resilience, proof of an unbreakable spirit. When the next challenge comes, when the next setback hits, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Don't say, I can't handle this. Say, this is shaping me. Don't see the fire as destruction. See it as refinement. Because the fire isn't there to burn you. It's there to burn away everything that isn't truly you. And once that fire has done its work, what remains is unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. People don't rise to their goals. They fall to their standards. Everyone loves to set goals. Everyone loves to dream big, to write down visions of the future, to imagine themselves on the stage, in the spotlight, living the life they desire. But when reality hits, when pressure mounts, when comfort tempts, they don't rise magically to the level of their ambitions. They sink to the level of their daily standards. It's not the dream that dictates the outcome. It's the discipline you live by every single day. Goals are just wishes without standards that demand action. It is easy to say, I want to be great, but it is your standards that decide whether greatness becomes your reality. Look at the person who wants to be healthy. They write down the goal, lose weight, build muscle, feel energized. But when the alarm clock rings at 5 a.m., when it's time to hit the gym, when it's time to eat clean, they don't rise to the level of their goal. They fall to their standard of discipline. If their standard is low, they hit snooze. If their standard is high, they rise and train. The same is true in business and relationships, in every area of life. Everyone has goals. Everyone wants success, but very few raise their standards to match the life they claim they want. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is not desire. It is the uncompromising decision to raise their standards and refuse to settle for anything less. Your standards are your invisible ceiling. You will never outperform them. You may have moments of inspiration, flashes of motivation, temporary surges of willpower, but eventually you will always come back down to the level of your standards. If your standard is to give half effort when things get hard, then no matter how big your goals are, you will collapse the moment pressure hits. If your standard is to accept mediocrity, then no matter how lofty your vision is, mediocrity will always be your reality. But if your standard is excellence, if your standard is persistence, if your standard is to never leave the battlefield without giving everything you have, then even on your worst days, you will still perform at a level most people only dream of. Standards are not set in the moment of battle. They are set long before. They are forged in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you decide who you are and what you are willing to tolerate, you don't become great when the spotlight hits you. You become great in the dark when it's just you and your choices. When you could take the easy road, but you choose the hard one. When you could give in to excuses, but you hold yourself to a higher standard. That's when greatness is built. And that's why two people with the same goal can walk two completely different paths. One ends up quitting, the other ends up conquering. The goal was the same, but the standard was not. Raise your standards and your life will rise with them. Stop saying, I'll try. Stop saying, I'll do my best. Stop saying, I hope this works out. Those words are weak. They leave room for failure. They leave cracks in your armor. Raise your standard to, I must. Raise your standard to, I will. Raise your standard to, this is who I am, and I don't accept less. When you make that shift, something powerful happens. Your mind adapts, your body adapts, your habits adapt. You begin to attract opportunities, people, and results that match the standard you live by. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand of yourself. Think about the greatest performers in any field. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. They all have the same 24 hours as you. They all face setbacks, doubts, and resistance. What separates them is not that they have bigger goals. Everyone has big goals. What separates them is that their standards are so high they will not accept laziness. They will not accept excuses. They will not accept good enough. While others are content with average, they demand excellence from themselves in every detail, and that compounds into greatness. Excellence doesn't happen once in a while. It is built into their standard of living. And that is why when the pressure comes, when the lights are on, they don't rise magically to the occasion. They fall to the level of their training, their discipline, their daily standards. And that level is so high it looks like greatness to everyone else. Your life right now is a reflection of your standards. If you are not where you want to be, it's because somewhere in your life you've tolerated less than what you're capable of. Maybe you've tolerated excuses. Maybe you've tolerated procrastination. Maybe you've tolerated toxic relationships, poor habits, or negative self-talk. Whatever you tolerate becomes your standard. And whatever your standard is, your life will reflect it back to you. If you want more, you must demand more, not from the world, but from yourself. You can't wait for circumstances to change. You can't wait for people to treat you differently. You can't wait for luck. You must raise your standard today and align every action with it. It's not about perfection. It's not about never slipping. It's about refusing to stay down when you do slip. It's about saying, this is not who I am anymore. I may stumble, but my standard is too high to accept this as my reality. That's the difference maker. When you raise your standard, even your failures elevate you. Even your setbacks push you forward because you no longer measure yourself against the minimum. You measure yourself against the maximum of what you are capable of. And that shift changes everything. It creates a hunger, a drive, a relentless energy that pushes you to grow beyond what you thought possible. So many people say, I'll be happy when I achieve my goal. But the truth is, happiness comes when you raise your standards and live in alignment with them. Because goals are destinations, but standards are identity. Goals say, I want to achieve. Standards say, this is who I am. And when who you are is greater than any challenge you face, the outcome becomes inevitable. The external world cannot stop someone whose internal standards are unbreakable. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making excuses. You stop settling. And in that state, progress is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you embody. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your standards. So raise them. Refuse to settle for less than excellence. Refuse to accept the identity of someone who quits. Refuse to allow weakness, laziness, or excuses to live in your space. Set a new bar for yourself and hold it no matter how uncomfortable it gets, no matter how lonely it feels, no matter how hard it becomes. Because your future is not built on the dreams you write down. It is built on the standards you live by every single day. The true difference between winners and quitters is hunger, not talent or luck. People love to believe that those who rise to the top were born with something special, that they had better circumstances, more connections, more advantages, but that's the lie that keeps most people stuck. Talent is useful. Luck is nice, but neither of them guarantees victory. What guarantees victory is hunger, that burning fire inside that refuses to stop no matter how many obstacles show up, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how far away the finish line looks. Hunger is the engine that drives persistence. Hunger is the fuel that keeps you in the fight when everything in you wants to give up. Hunger is what makes the difference between those who achieve and those who surrender. When you're hungry for something, you'll do whatever it takes. You'll get up earlier. You'll stay up later. You'll study harder. You'll train longer. You'll sacrifice comfort. You'll face rejection. You'll walk through fire if you have to. Hunger turns the impossible into possible because it doesn't stop looking for ways to win. Hunger doesn't care how many times you're told no. Hunger doesn't care how many times you fall short. Hunger doesn't care about setbacks, failures, or delays. Hunger only knows one command: keep moving forward. That's why the hungriest person always beats the most talented person who isn't hungry. Because talent without hunger is wasted potential, but hunger without talent will eventually build the skills, find the opportunities, and create the results. Think of every champion, every story of greatness that inspires you. None of them reached the top without hunger. They might have had gifts, but gifts don't last without hunger. There are countless stories of people more talented who quit, more privileged who gave up, more skilled who stopped showing up. And then there are the stories of the underdogs, the ones with no resources, no advantages, no connections, who refused to stop because their hunger was unshakable. Hunger makes you relentless. Hunger makes you resourceful. Hunger makes you unstoppable. Hunger will drive you to knock on doors until one opens, to work until exhaustion becomes fuel, to keep going until the world has no choice but to recognize your persistence. The quitter and the winner are not separated by ability. They are separated by desire. The quitter says, this is too hard, and hunger says, push harder. The quitter says, I've tried enough, and hunger says, try again. The quitter says, maybe it's not for me, and hunger says, must be for me. I won't stop until it is. Hunger doesn't allow excuses to survive. Hunger silences the inner voice of doubt. Hunger keeps the vision alive even when the circumstances look impossible. That is why hunger is more powerful than talent and more reliable than luck. Because talent and luck fade when resistance rises, but hunger grows stronger under resistance. The harder it gets, the hungrier you become. The more you are tested, the more relentless you grow. That is the mindset of a winner. Hunger is not just desire. Desire is wanting something. Hunger is needing it like air, like water, like survival itself. You don't negotiate with air. You don't casually want water. When you're starving, when you're thirsty, when your survival depends on it, you will move mountains to get it. That's the kind of hunger you must carry for your dreams. Not, I'd like to succeed if it's convenient, but I must succeed no matter what. That intensity is what separates those who dabble from those who dominate. Most people treat their goals like hobbies. Winners treat their goals like life or death. That's why they keep moving forward long after everyone else has quit. Because their hunger leaves them no alternative but to keep fighting. Look at the most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders in history. The common thread is not that they were the smartest or the luckiest. The common thread is that they were the hungriest. They wanted it more. They worked when others slept. They studied when others partied. They practiced when others made excuses. They had every reason to quit, but their hunger made quitting impossible. And because hunger never dies, it always finds a way to the top. That's why when you look around at those who have made it, you see different talents, different paths, different resources, but you always see the same hunger in their eyes. Hunger is universal, and hunger is undefeated. Hunger also has a way of creating talent. When you are hungry enough, you learn what you need to learn. You develop the skills you don't have. You practice until your weakness becomes your strength. Hunger doesn't wait for natural gifts. It builds them. Hunger doesn't wait for opportunity. It creates it. Hunger doesn't wait for luck. It makes its own. That's why the hungry rise above those who start with more but settle for less, because hunger refuses to settle. Hunger refuses to be comfortable. Hunger refuses to say enough when there is more within reach. The hungriest person in the room is always the most dangerous because no obstacle can starve their will. But hunger is not something you find outside yourself. It's something you decide inside yourself. It's a choice to care more, to fight harder, to refuse mediocrity, to refuse complacency. It's a choice to say, I will not stop until I get what I came for. And once you make that choice, once you decide to live hungry, you will discover that you don't need permission. You don't need guarantees. You don't need the perfect conditions. Hunger itself creates the momentum. Hunger itself creates the opportunity. Hunger itself keeps you moving long enough for success to catch up to you. So when you're facing a challenge, when you're tempted to quit, when you think you've given enough, ask yourself, how hungry am I? If you're not hungry, you'll give in. If you're hungry, you'll dig deeper. If you're not hungry, you'll accept excuses. If you're hungry, you'll find solutions. If you're not hungry, you'll stop short. If you're hungry, you'll keep going until the finish line bends to your will. Because in the end, talent may impress people, luck may open doors, but hunger is what will carry you through when both run out. Hunger is the difference between the story that ends early and the story that inspires generations. When you refuse to give up, you've already claimed victory because you will not lose. Most people think victory is only measured at the finish line, at the moment of celebration, at the point when the crowd applauds. But the truth is that victory is decided much earlier. Victory begins the moment you decide not to quit. The outcome may not have arrived yet. The dream may not have materialized yet. The results may not be visible yet. But the second you make the decision that quitting is not an option, the battle is already won. Because there's no force more powerful than a determined spirit that refuses to surrender. Life is designed to test you, to push you, to break you down, to tempt you into giving up. Every obstacle you face is an invitation to stop. Every setback whispers to you that it's easier to quit. Every delay convinces you that maybe it's not meant to be. But those who win are not the ones with fewer obstacles. They are the ones who refuse to listen to those whispers, who refuse to accept those lies, who refuse to let circumstances dictate their destiny. The refusal to quit creates an energy that even the harshest storms cannot extinguish. Persistence is the proof of victory in advance. Look at every story of greatness, every tale of triumph, every person who has built something extraordinary. You will find a common thread. They were tested beyond what seemed bearable. They faced rejection. They failed repeatedly. They walked through seasons of darkness, but they refused to quit. They kept moving forward when others stopped. They held on when others let go. They got back up when others stayed down. And that simple act of not quitting created the space for victory to arrive. Refusing to quit is not about being fearless. It is about being relentless in the face of fear. It is about deciding that nothing has the power to break you unless you give it permission. Quitting guarantees defeat. Refusing to quit guarantees progress. Even if you are crawling, even if you are barely moving, even if progress feels invisible, as long as you are still in the fight, you are still in control of the outcome. The world cannot defeat someone who will not stop, because every step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer. Every attempt, no matter how flawed, teaches you something. Every failure, no matter how painful, builds resilience. And eventually, persistence outlasts resistance. Eventually, the wall cracks, the door opens, the opportunity appears. Quitting stops that process, but refusing to quit ensures that victory is only a matter of time. Most people lose, not because they are incapable, but because they give up too soon. They plant seeds but stop watering them. They start journeys but abandon them halfway. They dream big but quit at the first sign of difficulty. They never realize that success often comes just after the point where most people quit. The extra mile is almost always empty. The treasure is almost always buried just a little deeper. The breakthrough is almost always waiting just beyond the moment of greatest resistance. Those who refuse to quit are the ones who get to experience that breakthrough because they were willing to endure what others would not. There is a fire inside every human being, a force that was not designed to quit, but the world conditions people to forget it. Comfort convinces them to stop. Disappointment convinces them to doubt. Fear convinces them to retreat. But deep inside, the spirit knows the truth. You were built for resilience. You were created to endure. You were wired to keep going. When you tap into that inner fire and decide that quitting is off the table, you awaken a strength you didn't know existed. Suddenly the weight that felt unbearable becomes a challenge you can carry. Suddenly the setback that felt final becomes a setup for a stronger return. Suddenly